What's up, guys, and welcome to a new lower body day. Today, I knew it was a Monday, and that means that it is a squat day, which basically means that I have to max out on a squat variation. And since I did my back squat a few weeks ago, 140 was my lifetime PR right there. I decided to hit a PR on the front squat as well. But what I realized quickly was that I was not only a lot weaker in terms of absolute load than I thought I would be, but also in terms of relative load, because this is 100 kilos, as you can see here. And if I whip out the calculator here, I mean, 100 divided by 140, that is 71.4%, right? So basically, I can only front squat 71% of my back squat max. That is horrific. I mean, historically, I've been able to do 85% of my back squat max as a front squat. So that really shows that the entire back is weak. The spinal erectors are weak. And that would really explain a lot of the difficulties I've been having during deadlifts as well. So that really showed to me that in the squats, although I feel my legs a lot, I could probably use a bit more back. Although on deadlifts, if my spinal erectors are that much weaker compared to just my regular squat, I must think that on deadlifts they are a limiting factor, and I have been feeling that way for literally years without correcting the problem and the root causes. The root causes is, weak hamstrings, weak glutes, weak lower back, especially lower back and hamstrings, since glutes are handled quite well by back squatting. So my plan to attack this is to continue to do the squats and the deadlifts on these sessions, but really start working up the good mornings. So I'll talk more on that later, but I believe the good morning, especially the stiff-legged good morning, which is what I'm doing right now, an extremely difficult variation where you can use extremely little weight as well. I'm going to be working on, doing heavier and heavier weights. Still, it's going to be a very light, only a small portion of my body weight. But when you're doing such a difficult technique, it's truly hard to get, 3 sets of 20. So that is the plan. When it comes to these squats, however, I'm going to keep these at 3 sets per session. I'm aware that that is only 6 sets per week plus one quote-unquote set for a 1 rep max, which I count a 1 rep max as at least a set, since you're technically going to failure and you're really hitting that muscle very hard, albeit for 1 rep. So that means that I basically did 7 sets of squats a day. That's the way I count it as well, at least. So that means I'm doing 7 plus 3. Wait, what the fuck? No, 4 sets a day, bro. I'm stupid. Anyway, moving on. Deadlifts. 120 kilos, 3 sets. Rather, 3 sets of 2 sets of 9 and 1 set of 8. The goal here is, just as with the squats, to work up to 3 sets of 10. I'm adding 1 rep per session, which is a slow rate of progression. But if you just, extrapolate that out, that means that I'm going to be adding 2.5 kilos every 3rd week or so, which if you do that for a 30-week period, I've added 25 kilos to my rep work on the deadlift then, which isn't too bad. It's about the kind of rate of progression that I need to complete my goals for this year. So I'm going to keep this going as long as possible. And this is not just here to test my strength or to build my strength. It's rather partly here to test my strength. So I'm going to be really on top of where's my deadlift, how's it moving, how's it looking, since I'm going to be doing these every single lower body day for reps. And afterwards, I'm going to come in and I'm going to work on these Nordic hamstring curls, which are coming up later here, and the good mornings, to really just strengthen the weaknesses in this lift and take my deadlift from what I consider a somewhat weaker lift, at least it has been now for a while, to a really just high performing lift that really just adds to my total, adds to my, how can I put this, like my resume of strength, my resume of big lifts basically. I do feel like I'm a bit squat dominant right now in terms of, squat versus deadlift. I mean, 140 squat, 170 deadlift. It's not terrible, but there's only a 30 kilo difference there. So yeah, when I started training, I mean, I could squat 100 but deadlift 140 fairly early on. So I've added 40 kilos to my squat since then, and only 30 kilos to my deadlift, which doesn't really work out. And I think a lot of it is I've been trying to build my deadlift off deadlifting, and obviously that works. It does work. It wouldn't like not work. But sometimes you do need some specialization, and the deadlift is very difficult to recover from. If you're doing squats as well, it's so much spinal compression, it's so just hard on the body that it is difficult to have a high enough workload to grow optimally off it in the long run. That is my belief, and that is why I've reintroduced good mornings. And I keep saying reintroduce, but I've never really did them. The goal here is obviously to just take that 20 kilo empty barbell and just slowly just grind and work it up to, I don't know, 30, 40, 50, 60. I don't know where the cap is, but a lot further along than the empty bar at least. Because as you saw there with the deadlifts, hamstrings and lower back are failing. Grip is also a bit of a limiting factor, but that has more to do with my right wrist being problematic. And I'm working on my wrist health, so that will be resolving itself shortly. It is getting slightly better for each session. So yeah, directly after deadlifts, I'm working on my deadlift weaknesses. One of them is my hamstrings. So here I'm just directly hitting my hamstrings with proper, reps. I'm doing 9 reps on the first set, 9 again, and then 8. So we're totaling out at 26 reps, if I'm not completely off the rails at this point. It's quite late in the evening. I'm tired as fuck, bro. I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm destroyed. Really should be going to bed after this. Anyway, hamstring curls, motherfuckers. Like, I have been lazy. I haven't been doing this. I just convinced myself that I don't have a good setup and I can't do hamstring curls. But the reality is, almost all of us can do almost any exercise if we're creative enough and if we really need it to grow and to progress. And I feel like these are required not only for my deadlift but also for my squats, because the hamstring is a major stabilizer in the squat. And now that I'm actually doing loads of 140 plus, and my goal is 180 by the end of the year, I don't really feel that my hamstrings can stabilize a 180 kilo squat. Like, completely honestly, I think if you put my hamstrings on, or if you rather just keep my hamstrings where they are, grow everything else, I think I would have some very dangerous squats in terms of knee health once they start getting up there in the weight. So I will be working on the hamstrings. This first set of good mornings here is absolutely horrendous. So don't put too much weight into it. What I'm doing here is I had a hoodie on, so the bar kind of rolls up on my neck, and that rounds my spine, and I'm bending the knees. So it's just a triple double shit combination. So ignore this set. This was just a set where I just learned what not to do, and the second 2 sets of the day were phenomenal. I really felt my hamstrings and my lower back, especially my hamstrings, to be honest. And the form looked really clean. So this first set was absolute shit, I'm aware. Like, those reps look back-breaking. If you add 20 kilos to that, it'll just be pain, bro. So we need to avoid that. Fuck that. Okay, moving on. Took the shirt off and the hoodie just to make sure that I have maximum friction on my back so the bar won't be rolling up. Put it in a nice low bar position. Look at that. Straight legs, clean reps. Managed to get, 2 sets of 20 after that first set of 20, which was horrible. So totaling out at 3 sets of 20, 2 of which were amazing. And my goal here is, as I said, at least 30 kilos short term. So building up the weight. Next workout I'll be adding 1.25 on either side, so 2.5 total, and working that up slowly. However, the problem with good mornings, especially with this kind of 90-degree form, and especially with completely straight legs, is you cannot just indefinitely add weight. You can't do, much above your body weight with this kind of form, or you'll literally probably snap yourself in half. This is an exercise that should be respected, and due to the angles involved, you can't just, put on an infinite amount of weight in this. So I'm shooting for 60 kilos. It's very unlikely to happen. I mean, if you add 40 kilos to your 20 rep sets on a difficult exercise like this, that would probably be equivalent to a 100 kilo gain in the deadlift or some shit. So my goal is 60. That's more of a long-term goal. But right now, I need to get to 30. So if I can get to 30, I believe I'll deadlift 180 kilos very comfortably and easily. That's just what I think. So I'm going to test that theory out. On the last few reps here, I went a bit below 90 degrees. That's obviously not my intention, but it happens. Moving on, calf raises. As you guys have noticed, I started training calves I don't know if it's a week and a half ago, but not long ago. I did 20 kilos first workout, then 21.25. Now we're up at 22.5. So it's going to be a slow and steady progressive overload, basically. And I'll be working this up to as heavy as I can get it before the form really starts to deteriorate and I can't really extend all the way up. After that, I'll probably either switch variations or, decrease the weight. But my goal here is add 1.25 each session for as many sessions as I can possibly do it. Overload the shit out of my calves. Obviously, most muscles, with the research that we have now, they grow mostly in the extended range of motion. This is true for the chest, the biceps, the lats, the calves. I mean, if you just think of lats, for example, I have quite wide lats, I must say, and most of my training career I've been doing full range of motion pull-ups, even with dead hangs. So, and it's the same thing with rows. I don't do these kind of bent arm rows. I extend all the way. And that deep stretch is what has built my best body part, my lats. It's the same thing with most other muscle groups in the body, and I believe it's true for calves as well. One of the things that really makes me fear my calves personally in the real world is walking up a steep hill with a backpack, for example. That will destroy your calves. And if you look at kind of the mechanics of that, a lot of it is in the weighted stretch. So I do believe in weighted stretch for calves. However, we need to have a full range of motion as well. I'm aware of that. But the goal here is I'll be working this up to 30 and 40 kilos, basically until I can't really perform the exercise anymore. And after that, I'll switch variations, figure out something else to do for calves temporarily, and start working that weight up as well. Because the goal here is really just work calves hard as fuck, get massive bulbous calves. I don't want to have stick calves anymore. I've been training for more than 5 years now, and I think it's fucking time to start training calves properly. I mean, it's pathetic that I haven't. Imagine how big my calves would have been if I had trained this entire time. Not that I really care. I'm starting now. I'm not super worried about what I haven't done. I haven't even thought about it until I said this now, to be honest. Moving on, I could only do like 7 reps today of these. I'd like to call them like Batman crunches or some shit because they're hanging upside down, but inverted crunches, we'll just call them. These are super difficult and challenging. Like, the contraction you'll feel in your abs is insane, especially if you go slowly, which I can't. It's too heavy. I'm too heavy. I'm too weak, rather. And directly after, I tried to do some hanging leg raises, but as you'll quickly see here, I was way too tired. I could not do it properly, so I only got 4 reps. But yeah, that is today's workout. Lower body's progressing. Slowly but surely. Slow and steady wins the race. Bulk is going well as well, I'm eating 4,000 calories on a daily basis, However, this morning I only weighed in at 82.6, which was quite low, so I will be increasing calories by next week. More on that tomorrow on Upper Body Day. Good night, guys.